Welcome my friends to the most ghetto recording setup ever. And I know you guys can't see because you're inside the camera, but you guys are tied to a soccer net. Here, now you can see. Get learned. Alright, so speaking of getting learned, I'm finally back doing a parkour tutorial. It's been way too long. So basically, I've already done tutorials about what I'm going to do now, but I've gotten a lot better in general, and I've come up with a new tip which I really wanted to showcase, and I feel like that took me in the direction of wanting to make a giant redo of the backflip tutorial. So I'll teach you about the technique a little bit, but this is more about how you can get comfortable starting to throw it, because that's the real hard part. The backflip is a very easy maneuver. I haven't done any yet today, but yeah, go. Everybody should be doing that, but it's scary and pretty dangerous, so I'll teach you my ways. Alright, I'll start with your best two options, which are nothing that I will show you here. So that's finding a trampoline, number one, and looking up a tutorial on how to do it, finding your own ways to break the fear. It's fun, but I guess it's not a complete guarantee that you can learn it that way. Best method you can do though is find a gymnastics gym or a parkour gym if you're that lucky, and they can run you through it and get you it in like one day if you're in decent shape already. Like I said, most people are physically capable of doing backflip. Lots of videos on the internet of fat people doing backflips better than skinny people, better than strong people, so it's really a mind over matter in practice. Just understanding how it works, because the physics of it is a gift from above, because your body moves like it was built to. Anyway, those are the two default setups, but now I'll teach you what you can do if it's just you in a grass field. Okay, I'm going to try to do this in a chronological order so that you can start from the beginning and develop it all the way through, and then you should have everything you need. So some of these are kind of unrelated, but we'll eventually taper back in. Handstands is a good start. We'll get to it, but any kind of time spent on your hands would be helpful for the strength you need. Also, I want to say this before I forget. Using this method, the ones I'll get to, it will be a perfect way to do a back handspring. You'll be able to do that probably before a backflip, but the backflip is the goal if you ask me, so I'll show you all that stuff too. Super essential, maybe not spoken to often tip number one. Following up with handstand strength, you should get bridge strength down for two reasons. Strength reasons and flexibility reasons. I mean, when you do a backflip, you open up everything, and there is some stretching. Your first few times doing it, it would probably make you sore, all up and down the middle. So, but this will help you to know that you can actually go that far without dying. Hope you can see me. GoPro's got hella wide view. The bridge is basically lie down, put your hands behind you like this, try and push up. Some people have trouble at first, but it's fairly easy. Alright, that right there is what starts opening the door to every other branch of possibility in this chain ladder. So I want to start with something that'll be really helpful if you're a 5-year-old girl gymnast, because you'll have super flexible powers, and I'm very jealous. But kids at that age can learn this stuff a lot easier than us, but of course we still can. So this is something I only learned recently, and I did mention it in prior tutorials because I couldn't do it yet. But if you can do this, it's like the biggest tip you can do. But first you need those two things. So once you can do a bridge very comfortably, you're going to want to start practicing leaning backwards into it and trying to catch yourself. We'll just start with that. And that's great for starts. I think if you can do that, you'll be doing back handsprings like that, because if that is really easy for you and you can do it fast, adding a jump I think will only make it easier. But the thing that was a lot harder than the lean back for me is kicking over, and that's the last essential step. If you can get that far, work towards kicking over, and I'll have some drills on how to do that in a second, but I'll show you here. That is a very helpful skill. That's the kind of skill that's very flexibility oriented, so what I recommend if you want to be able to do that is just do bridges every single day. I've been doing pretty much 2 a day every day for maybe a year or 2, so what can I say? Progress takes time. So the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, second best time is today. So get started on flexibility now while you have a head start. Other ways that you can simulate this motion if you can't do that yet and you don't feel like waiting 2 years either lie down on a bed maybe, or any kind of raised platform. I don't have one here, so you're gonna have to use your imagination. Picnic table, something really low to the floor though, that you can put your entire back on, be laying flat against it, and just like the bridge, look over the edge of the obstacle, like this, and put your hands on the ground already. And from there, see if you can kick off or find anything to push your feet over, just to get you the idea of what it's like. Now you can also try using a tree or a wall. I'll attempt to demonstrate that now, but I don't want to ruin my perfect setup. Hope y'all can see for one. I hope this works for two. But I'm gonna put my feet on the post and try and use that to walk me over. Really hope you can see. You can try that from a handstand or a bridge. If you're gonna do a handstand though, get an actual wall. I will go over another gymnastic option, although I'd be surprised if you could do this without gymnastic mats. But what they have is mats that can roll. So when you lean back on it or jump back, it tips and you can go straight to your hands. But like I said, that'll probably be hard to find without a gym. All right, the next things I want to talk about are things that I've already gone over many times in other tutorials, but it's worth revisiting here. And now with the progressions I added, you can consider that when you go into it. So if you've been doing your bridges, it'll help you a lot with this step. And if you ask me, this is like the key step to everything. And it didn't work cleanly for me for a long time, but when you get down to it, this is the best way to do it if you only have grass and you have a lot of time and dedication. It's the macaco, monkey flip. One-handed back handspring, a little bit over the side. Definitely won't look that clean for a really, really long time. I hope you can see that. I'm gonna have to redo that shit now. I was gonna say it won't look that clean for a while, but I wouldn't call that clean exactly. Anyway, that's the best way to start because you're touching the ground, you can see the floor over your shoulder the whole time, and you can work to getting more and more inverted as you go. Like I said, eventually it'll look like that, but at first it'll be kind of ugly, for lack of a better word. Oh my God. I just did it. Yes! But if you made it this far, I already inserted the clips of when I did it to land my first backflip outside, so I'm sure you can believe me. It all comes down to that jumping backwards and working your angle more and more upright. Find the softest things you can, but the idea is that you never go for the backflip until you know you have it. I mean, that's how you don't die anyway. Depends what's important to you. Somehow I might not have mentioned this, but you should be able to do a backward roll. I think that's the very first step. Backwards roll and then continue with everything I said. Now, if you've been following along and probably taken months to get from the beginning of this video to this point, I'd say you're in the best possible place to do well. And if you've done all that, you can probably do a back handspring by now, or you're close to it. Maybe your macaco's getting better. Keep doing those bridges, seriously. But once you have the back handspring, I think getting your backflip is really easy, but I'll insert the clips of how I did it my first time as well. Ooh. Yes. I mean, it just comes down to, once you can jump back on your hands, you don't need to have a clean back handspring with form, but once you can go backwards comfortably, that's when you want to start adding height and whip. It's hard for you if you want to just say, okay, this time I'm going to jump and tuck, because then it's like you have to remember that you don't know how it feels, and that can be a bit scary. So what you want to do is keep going for the back handsprings, and then just whip them harder. Start whipping them harder so that your hands barely touch, and then if you can, work on jumping up more. Eventually though, you don't want to be doing a bridge when you do your backflip. The form eventually gets a lot cleaner, where you go straight up and then tuck into the ball. At first, you don't have to worry about it not being that good at first, because trying to jump straight up can throw you off. Don't be ashamed of a whippy layback backflip at starts. Just don't whip your head back too hard, because that's what makes you head down instead of up and around. This is fine for a start. Still probably cleaner than yours will be. No offense. I'm running it through over and over again, but I can't think of any other ways that I would progress into it. So I'll try and give you a linear path of everything I've said if you want to try and figure this out. Alright, first things first though, gymnastics gym, trampoline. That's where you should begin if you have them. Use your tools, because not everybody has those things, and that is the biggest advantage you can have. I mean, if you're on a trampoline, you can just drop straight onto your back, and then once you bounce off the floor, tuck over, and that'll get you kind of used to it, but the full send is still something. So if those two are not an option, so begins the actual progression. Back roll first. First taste of going backwards. A little bit of handstand work, maybe cartwheels. Some ugly handstands. Bridges. This is where the road splits and you can take two paths or both, of course. But once you can bridge, lean into the bridge, you'll probably fall a lot learning, but get comfortable as fast as you can. That's what I'm emphasizing here. It takes time. Once you can do that, kick over. Oh, and if you can't do that, I'll put in the clip of me using the post again. Use a post or a wall, or lay down flat and come back over. Now that's why I made this tutorial, is because I've just learned how to do that, and I think if you could learn that yourself, that would be huge. Otherwise, macaco, same old, one handy to the side. They might start off pretty ugly, but that's okay. We all gotta be ugly sometimes. Just ramp it up little by little and start looking pretty. Don't add style too early though. Now once you can do that, try and go straighter and straighter back. I would say back handspring is next. Haven't made a tutorial yet, so you have to look elsewhere. So if you've gotten that far, all that's left is to start whipping it harder when you jump backwards. Start getting taller and taller, and eventually you got it. Congratulations, you just graduated from Getting Learned Academy. I mean, you did your homework, I hope, but it's up to you if you want to pass. So, hope all this was helpful for you. I recommend, if you give a shit about flips, you've probably already started, but even if you don't really care about flips per se or parkour, everybody should be doing this, you know, just to see what the human body is really capable of, and it's really not that hard, so anybody can do it, just believe. Seriously, trust that. It might be easy for you to not believe me from far away, but I swear I wasn't born like this, I swear. Learn the backflip first, or second, or third. I would say the only flips that should, if any, come before the backflip is front flip / Webster, aerials, side flip. All of them have their own pros and cons, but the backflip is probably the easiest to pull off. So once you're able to do it safely, you'll be able to do it like nothing. No lookers. For knees! Thank you for stopping in, and good luck training.